What is up, Nintendo Land? E3 2017 has come and gone, and I think it has left everyone with some mixed emotions. We got some of the things on our wish list, but some major information is definitely missing. What do you guys think? Did we get enough details to last us till 2018 or at least the holidays?
No.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Depends on when the next direct is, I guess.
We got enough info on games to get us through the holidays, right? But that's it.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
It doesn't seem as even as dense as like the Wii U was. It seems like even with the Wii, it seems very Wii U with kind of, I think one of us, I believe, was saying like you get ARMS and then your next thing's not till Splatoon. and then in September, some of the third parties, I guess, start coming in, like your EA and your 2K, and then you get the holiday with Odyssey. And I guess at some point, Elder Scrolls pops in there.
Odyssey's an early holiday release. That's late October. I still have a feeling that they're leaving the doors open to sneak in something right before Christmas to really kind of blow the doors off.
I'm saying Black Friday gets a 1-2 switch. The controllers will have like a number 1 and a number 2 on them.
Okay.
You can have that for free, Nintendo.
Yeah, no. They could do a Cat in the Hat tie-in maybe. But no, I think they'll drop Smash for Black Friday or thereabouts. I think Smash. I think they got room for one more big release before Christmas. I'm pretty sure they're gonna drop something big, and the only thing they have left to drop that I can think of is Smash. I also assume that 3DS Metroid will be coming out somewhere in that time frame.
It's set for September.
Oh, there is a date on it now. Okay.
Yeah, it's like the end of like September 26th, or it's somewhere in there.
Oh, when did they sneak that out? Because I've been seeing TBD everywhere.
I thought they did it at E3, but if not, then right after. I did. Speaking of which, I noticed that those amiibos seem to be sold out just about everywhere.
Which?
The Metroid amiibos. They're sold out on pre-orders, and why wouldn't they be? It's like America gave you a chance with the Breath of the Wild amiibos, and you screwed us.
Yeah, those have never come back in stock, have they? I mean, I got them on the first round, fortunately, but they've never come back, huh?
I can't believe they didn't sell out on pre-order. How did that not happen?
No, they were restocked at Best Buy earlier this week.
Oh, were they? Well, I was going to stop by tonight, and I didn't.
Yet another reason it's not worth freaking out and paying full price for it when it comes out, other than to use it. I mean, right, if I were to buy the Zelda amiibos now, I wouldn't have much use for them, but I used the hell out of them for a couple of months there.
But I'll take an Archer Link and a Guardian amiibo just as a little shelf reminder of the time I spent with that game.
Well, and if you got the DLC, you'll still make good use of them. Right?
Yeah.
The Guardian amiibo is going for like $40 or $50 on eBay right now.
I should sell them.
They won't get my money. Yeah, sell it to me.
$50, man.
Yes.
I actually got one when it first came out, and I was like, they were like, we got how do you pronounce that? Bokoblin or Bokoblin?
Bokoblin, I think.
So
Bokoblin.
They were like, we got a Bokoblin, and we got. I think they said it was a Guardian, and they're like, which one do you want? And I'm like, what does it do? And they were like telling me, and then I was like,
give me the
I'll
pig.
just get both of them. I was like, I'll just get both of them because why not? And then later I found out, wow, that Guardian one was really useful. It gives you like these boxes with stuff in it, not just a treasure chest. But...
Oh, that's right. It gives like metal boxes or something, I think.
Yeah, gives you like 4 plus a treasure chest.
See, I'm in that very weird Nintendo fanboy demographic, whereas there was an entire table of Guardian amiibo in front of me, and I bought the Switch day one and did not buy Zelda day one because I had no interest in it. So I passed on the amiibo and stuff. I was like, man, I've tried to like Legend of Zelda and it just didn't work out for me. So, and then like I rented it. Yeah, I rented it and it got its hooks in.
You rented it? How do you rent Breath of the
That's what
Wild.
Z was saying. So I actually am in a little area where they still have it's not exactly a ma and pa shop because they've got like 20 locations, but it's like what would have been in the Blockbuster days, a mid-size kind of corporate video store, and they actually rent Wii U games, 3DS games,
Hmm.
Switch games. So Eric, if I wanted to, I can go and I can rent all those carts for $7, but you get them for 5 nights, and I could register them on my Switch for 12 sweet points each for the price of one game.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Then you could get like a JPEG, right?
Yeah, I did discover that you can register the same game twice because I registered Zelda twice and got points for it twice with 2 different
Oh.
cartridges.
I know there's no limit on how many consoles you can register.
I
Found that out
don't
with
know if I
the
got to
Wii
register
Mini.
my console. Did it have a thing to
Well,
register?
actually, that was with Club Nintendo. I don't know if you can do
Oh,
that on
I don't think you
online
can
anymore.
yet. They did that with the NES Classic though,
Yeah.
just to spite you.
Yeah, you can. They're like, that's a ripoff. We just spent like 300 on the. Well, the whole thing's a ripoff anyway.
Write them a letter.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I thought E3 was decent this year. It's never gonna be, I think, what I wanted it to be. Like that one year, man, that Smash year, the Amiibo year. Seems like they did pretty good that year. But I mean, I'm very happy with Zelda. I've never been a huge Prime or Metroid. Jeez, I've never been a huge fan of the Prime stuff. So it's like the 2D is the one I'm getting, and I'm a little scared that it's made by the same guys that made that Castlevania game for 3DS. Because I'm like, they've already kind of messed up one classic can't mess up thing.
Yeah.
But
I'm just
we'll see.
glad
I
they
don't.
didn't announce. I'm just glad they didn't announce any mobile games at E3. I was so shocked. I was like, wow,
Yeah,
none
I
at
fully
all. That's
expected them,
great.
especially like Animal Crossing one that's supposed to come out. They've got. I guess they just figured that it was probably better not to even mention Animal Crossing around that crowd.
I expected a full day of mobile listings, honestly, especially when we get into the Treehouse Live segments. I was really expecting any time to say, okay, now we're going to talk mobile.
Yeah, I thought day 3 would just be like, here's our mobile stuff and here's some crap we've licensed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question about Treehouse then. I think all of us have watched at least some of the Treehouse broadcast, which was incredibly lengthy. Did seeing anything on Treehouse change anyone's mind about a game they were maybe on the fence about?
Not this
Other-
year.
Other than them announcing Metroid 4 during the Treehouse. No.
No, Samus. Wait, not Samus Returns anymore. Return of Samus?
Right.
No, the old one was the original was Return of Samus.
Right, so this one's
What
Samus
is
Returns.
Returns. Yeah. Just cuz.
But you said 4. Pwned.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Oh.
You're right. I mixed them all up. It's actually Metroid 2.
You're getting too excited. I told one of my friends, I said, now's the time to buy the Switch. They've announced Metroid, so it should be coming out in the next 4 years or so.
It'll come out. Yeah, exactly. It'll be the one that they launch on the Switch and the next
Switch
console.
2, yeah.
No, I mean,
Z's quote. I like Z's quote where he says, he buys every Nintendo console because it might be the last.
Yeah,
the Switch doesn't look like it's gonna be. The Wii really could have been, man. Like
that should be on the back of our motorcycle jackets.
Every console might be the last one. No, I mean, right when I got in line to pick up the Wii U, and there were like, literally, I walked up 5 or 10 minutes before the store opened, and there was like 3 other dudes standing there. It was like, oh, okay, I see. And there was no midnight launch, no nothing. It was just 10 a.m. in the morning. It's like,
yeah, that's how I did it. At Best Buy, there were like, there might have been 30 people there, 25, 30. But then after they opened, people still kept rolling in because they actually had a side for pre-orders and for non-pre-orders, and it seemed like they had almost as many consoles.
This is Wii U you're talking about?
Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm talking Switch.
Oh no, so Switch?
Yeah, was that crazy where you were?
For where I was, there was definitely over 1,000 people in the non-pre-order line.
Wow.
It was like, I mean, you know what I mean? It was, the line was, Like it was probably 4 or 5 people wide and wrapped around the building. Like it was, you know what I mean? It wasn't just a line of people. It was like
Yeah.
a crowd roped off that went back around behind the building. So it had to be a few thousand people in line. A couple thousand maybe.
That's
it was
what
a
you
hell
get
of a
for
lot
living in a populated area.
Yeah. But I went like an hour before, and they told me no, there's no pre-order line, just get in line. So I show up and I'm like, well, shit, there's like 1,000 people ahead of me. And so I'm standing in line, and finally, at some point, I got chatty with the people around me, got them to hold my spot, and ran up and double checked. And fortunately, yeah, I could have gotten a few spaces ahead in the pre-order line. Pre-order line probably had 40 people in it though. So that was, yeah, I don't know what all these other people were doing. They just, got the buzz and wanted to go hang out in line on a Thursday night.
Well,
Yeah.
there's no way they had a couple thousand Switches, so like most of those people were just waiting for nothing, right?
Well, there's some of them were like couples hanging out and families. So I
Okay.
assume it wasn't necessarily one Switch per person. But that being said, I have no idea what stock was, but I can't imagine they got through more than a quarter of that line at most before
Was
they're
it
like,
Best Buy?
sorry, folks, we're closing our doors. Yeah, Best Buy.
They had a note on the door at my Best Buy that said, we have 33 Switch units that are not pre-ordered. And they basically were just going through the crowd, handing out papers that were like a reservation for it. And
Yeah,
they're like, once we run out of these papers, we'll have no more. So, I mean, they had plenty for the people that were standing there. That's how I ended up getting that red and blue, is because I was like, I'll take one for the red and blue. I have not pre-ordered.
That's the same way it was for me. I went to Target in the morning, and I was sixth in line, if that gives you any idea of the difference in the populations there. But yeah,
Yeah.
Get there.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
What time did you get there?
Oh, I think I got there an hour before opening, so I think it was around, I don't know, I'd say an hour before. I don't remember if they opened at 7 or 8.
Did you have your Nintendo Vans on?
No, I didn't. I was too sleepy to even think of that, so. Yeah, I could have really impressed the other 5 people who just like, oh yeah, you want the colored one, right? Or excuse me, the neon one.
That's right. We don't call them colored anymore.
That's right.
Colored American.
Yeah, that's there's probably going to be many, many more to come. They could put every design. They haven't even started putting designs on it yet. I guess that might.
Wait, they still haven't announced green and pink for US yet, have they?
No.
Not technically, no.
Yeah,
No, that's
starting
I
to
don't
worry
know
me a
that.
little
Have they
bit.
announced
I want
that even
those.
in Japan though?
Yeah.
I saw the Pro controller, but I don't know if I saw the Joy-Cons.
Yeah, I saw them on the some news report showed a shot of the Japanese website or a picture from it. Yeah, they're there. But they and from I read a report saying they've shown up in Europe as well on the Nintendo store in Europe, but we don't have a Nintendo store here, or at least not like they have over there.
Yeah, I think we're both of the like mind that if they just give us double green, we'll be happy.
Definitely.
Oh, really? No, I don't want 2 of the same color, right? I want as much variety as possible, and I'm going to buy a limited number of these things. So you know what I mean?
Did you buy the
2 of the
neon
same
yellow?
color? No. If I could have bought one neon yellow, yes, I would have paid the $10 premium to buy a single neon yellow.
I can't believe they haven't bundled that in yet with ARMS. I'm wondering how the AA battery life extender is selling.
The only reason I would use that is if I really wanted to make this feel like a pseudo workout and add some weight to my Joy-Cons. Otherwise, right?
Well,
Otherwise,
what's
I don't
interesting is that implies that they think there's a market of people who are going to be playing that game for 3 hours straight with the Joy-Con.
No, I think it's more like 8 hours straight with the Joy-Con, right? And the battery life on those things is it's longer than the console.
Well, right. I'm just saying your original ones have to die for you to want that product.
I don't foresee mine ever dying. I think my
I
wrist
don't
would
either.
give out before they died.
Yeah, somebody was saying that playing it on the Joy-Con, like on the system with HD Rumble on, after like an hour, it feels like their wrists are about to fall off.
Well, I
My
think
wrists haven't fallen off at this point. They're never gonna.
Here. How about that update?
that's right. We got a new update last night for the Switch 3.0.
Yeah.
And this goes back to something you said, Mo, previously, repeatedly about. There's so many weird little details that Nintendo thinks of and thinks to do and thinks to add, but then there's no Netflix or web browser or voice chat or whatever. Like
Yeah,
this
but
update's
we got
great.
grayscale.
Yeah,
We got grayscale and inverted colors.
There's all sorts of great, weird, little nifty features in this update. But come on, guys, where's the stuff everybody wants?
It's like
Come on.
Pokemon Go's updates, right? Minor text fixes, they change the colors of the eggs or whatever, but nothing substantial.
Yeah, this
Not
one had some
usually.
neat stuff. You can now add your 3DS friends and your Wii U friends through a menu, just like you could before with you were able to do it with Miitomo, and I think they've added Super Mario Run now to that mix too. So that's cool because I found out that there's only one 3DS friend that I have that owns a Switch that isn't already on my friends list, and there's like 20 Wii U's. So I'm like, it must be people who had Wii U that are owning the Switch right now, which I kind of suspected anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You notice the news, like you can now subscribe to the news channels. It's just like how you could subscribe to Miiverse, except
Right.
Nintendo doesn't have to filter out penises.
Yeah, and I don't know if this was how it was before or not, because maybe I've never really scrolled to the bottom of one of those Switch news articles, but there is a little, it's like a yeah button, but it's not yeah. It's like great, I think, is the
Yeah.
good, and then the bad is oh with a little broken heart.
Yeah, kind
So
of
it's
like
heart and broken heart.
kind of like if you're on one of those customer service websites. It's like, was this article helpful to you?
Helpful, right? So I'm basically just giving great to Metroid and like telling it no to ARMS.
I need to go do that. I actually unsubscribed from a lot of the news feeds. That little green light blinking or whatever color it is.
Oh
That
yeah,
irritates me when I do turn on my Switch. So
yeah, it's got that. Although I like it on the friend notification. I'm like, did somebody else get a Switch?
exactly. Yeah.
Which they also had mentioned that this year, or this month rather, the Switch has dropped places. It was the number one selling console, but due to supply and stock issues, it is not the number one selling console for this last month of May. I just dated us.
What was?
I think PS4 was back up. Although I think Mario Kart 8 is still hanging in the top 10, I believe.
Mario Kart 8 can suck it.
Yeah. How's that going? You loving it?
I 3-starred everything up to 150.
Do you love it?
No.
Yeah, it's not bad. But yeah, there was some. I'm surprised that they didn't throw themes on yet. Like I know it's still really early days, but it seems like that would have been what I would think was missing from E3 was just an acknowledgement of how kind of sparse it is, and a promise of more to come. Just something to kind of please the people who already have it.
Well, that's one thing they really sidestepped all E3 long was the online services. There was no mention of them whatsoever, and I think everybody's kind of grilling Reggie after Where's All the News, that everybody was excited for.
Well, that's probably why they let some of that news out before.
Yeah, but they pushed it to next year. Now it's all 2018, right?
Yeah, they bought themselves a lot of time.
And I don't see anything aside from Mario Kart, Smash, Splatoon, everything that they can do with their existing infrastructure. Well, they think they can do with their existing infrastructure. Here's the problem is I don't know how many people Splatoon had at its peak, but I have a feeling if they get enough Switches out there, the player base for Splatoon on the Switch could be much larger. And we're going to see a lot more lag issues and a lot more problems if they haven't substantially upgraded the network already. But I have a feeling that whatever they're going to be dropping on us in 2018 is something that's being built alongside their existing legacy infrastructure, and that's probably what all these games are still currently running on. So we'll see. I have a feeling Splatoon's going to be laggy and flaky, but then we didn't really have that experience with ARMS or Splatoon Global Test Fire. There was only a couple million Switches out there at the time, so we just really don't know. We're just going to have to see in a month, I guess.
But we're used to playing Splatoon like that.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm not.
true.
I'm not since I switched to the wired, man. And again, that I didn't switch to the wired connection until later in the game where we were all still playing, but there weren't. You know what I mean? It wasn't as busy. So I don't know if that would have made as big a difference at its peak. Probably not. But we're just gonna have to see.
Yeah, we were still playing regularly when you'd get on some nights and be like the same 3 teams over and over and over. So I mean,
yeah,
I hope they change that more than anything else. I want them to fix matchmaking. So even if you go in as like a team of 4 instead of being, or a team of 3 instead of being ranked or matched up against a team of 4 players, it's just like 3 random people.
Match you 3 on 3.
Nowhere. Yeah.
Well, that's why. I guess they did have the option, which is kind of a stupid thing on Splatoon 1, that you could choose to play as a team of 3, but it wouldn't match you with just a team of 3. Yeah, that was kind of a big missed opportunity there.
I don't know. Am I the only one on this call that has ARMS?
I think you are.
Yep.
Am I? So I haven't now. Yeah. I don't know if the real ARMS matchmaking is any better than the because I haven't really tried. I've only played it a little bit, and I haven't really gone online with the full one yet. But the matchmaking in the test fire was pretty bad.
Was it really?
Yeah, I don't know. It was just complete. It seemed utterly and completely random, but that may have just been because it was the beta.
Yeah, well, plus anytime, like whatever your ranking is, anytime if you would drop out, like even voluntarily, and then go back in, it would reset your ranking every time. So it's hard to say what anybody's actual rank was there too.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess it's not even ranking; it just shows you how many wins they've had. They've got points.
Just how much money they've made, which really only means how long they've been playing in that particular session, I think.
Right, because you even get points for losing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but especially on the last set of the test punches, I felt that pretty much as well. It seemed like I was stuck with a group that had a much higher rating than me and apparently at a much higher skill level, because I think I won 2 matches out of the almost hour I played. I don't know what's up with that.
Well, you need to get a pro controller, son.
Oh, I know. That's
that's what really made the difference for me. We'll see. I can't believe that their stock issues have been so bad, because it seems like I said, they're really going whole hog on this ARMS thing. Like, hey, I mean, and I guess it's the only thing they've really got right now that's brand new, to say like, hey, we've got a brand new thing, we're excited about it and whatever, but they don't even have the stock. So you're going to end up going to the store and there's just going to be rows of ARMS and no systems. Like, somebody messaged me on Facebook the other day and said, hey, the Toys R Us around here got 3 Switch consoles, come and get them.
Well, I've had a couple of systems sitting in my cart at Best Buy a few times whenever they went up for sale, just like the other day, right? Yesterday even.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess you have to camp out on Twitter to see the notifications as they come up, but
yeah.
I mean, it feels like a Switch is still easier to get than the NES Classic ever was.
And
That's
again,
true.
My Target over here still has shelves full of NES Classic cases.
yeah,
But it's just stupid. Like, obviously all these third-party companies that got Nintendo's official license to make these things are
they never shared how many they were making.
Yeah, they're going, what the hell, guys? We just spent, all this money on a production run of these things, and you made like 5 of them. Like, I guarantee you, more of those cases exist in the world were made than the consoles themselves.
Absolutely.
I'm convinced they'll have another run of them soon, probably for the holidays. Either that or they'll announce like the NES Classic, or sorry, the SNES Classic.
Yeah.
They're just trying to protect themselves, I guess, against piracy again, or modding anyway. So, I mean, it could go either way with Nintendo, but I feel like they preemptively decided to cancel or not ship out whatever extra units they had on hand that maybe they had made, but they just didn't want to sell until they had figured out how to better, what do you call it? Better protect themselves, I guess.
In hindsight, though, I'm really thinking about it, and I really think Nintendo intended this from the get-go. $60 for how many games?
30.
Seriously?
Yeah.
$2 a game? $2 a game for like 30 of the best games ever released for the platform. Since when has Nintendo ever been so generous with like all three of the original Super Marios and the original Zeldas? And when
Well,
have they ever
perhaps
been
if
that
they had
generous?
if they had known that the online service wasn't going to launch until next year, maybe they would have kept up production. Because
No,
they
I
probably
still
said,
don't.
let's pull these out of the market so that when the virtual console does hit, it'll be the hot thing, and everyone will be like, oh, I heard about that game from the NES Classic system. Let's
No,
buy
I
it for
think
$5.
I think they knew. I think they knew from the get-go it was too good to be true. It was too good of a deal. They would never sell something that cheap without a catch. You know.
That would have been a good E3 announcement. Surprise, it's back.
And I'm sure they'll bring it back out at some point, but probably
Maybe
also in a tiny limited run.
Yeah, probably to fill in like one of the holiday gaps too, because that seems to be their thing. Despite the fact that they
Yeah.
never, or they mentioned the 2DS XL one time, and that was it.
I'll tell you what, you want to sell Nintendo hardware and software, why don't you start handing out NES Classics on My Nintendo?
Wow. Yeah.
And that'd get some digital purchases out of me.
It would never happen.
Yeah, that's just kind of ridiculous given the state of my Nintendo, man.
That's true.
It's kind of not even funny and just depresses me.
They did say that the possibility of physical rewards was still something they were considering or they were aware of, or whatever, terms Reggie uses.
Given how many hoops I had to jump through after driving my ass all the way to some shopping mall 40 minutes away from my house to go, to get a metal water bottle, I still kind of doubt it.
Did you get the metal water bottle?
Hell no, man. I would have to stay there like half the day.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I was like, you didn't actually do it, did you?
No, but
That's
a buddy
crazy.
of mine did. A buddy of mine did. He went back a second day to finish.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, see, nah,
I noticed.
no, that's too much commitment. Sorry, go ahead.
I noticed those water bottles are still like in the news. Like if you look at Nintendo sites, it's still up there. Like that's something that they had offered legitimately.
Well, they're still doing more. I mean, that was just like the first event, I think, wasn't it, Z? Like the first or second one. So they're going all summer.
Yeah, they're going all summer around the country, but only in like 3 regions. 3 small regions of the country, pretty much. Right? It's around
Basically,
here.
it's West Coast, Midwest, and New York.
Yeah, pretty much.
I still kind of am wondering if at some point they'll do the NES Classic cartridge or collection for Switch.
That wouldn't be a bad idea, actually. Just have the games sold, independently of any hardware, and just sell them that way. That'd be kind of cool. But I'm sure they're just waiting to put them up on Virtual Console so they can sell them for $5 a piece again.
Exactly.
More than likely, yeah.
I want 3D classics on the Switch. I want a 3D Switch. That's what I want. That's what I'm disappointed they didn't announce at E3.
I am.
Are we really so
there.
jaded? Are we really so jaded that 2 Metroid games is like, meh, E3 sucked?
I know it is something that they can do that, and you're just one of them, like I said, is really just a logo, and the whole now in development thing is scary because they kill half the games that they start developing. So that means to me that if they can't even give you a screenshot, it's got to be really early, that they're not ready to show anything yet. So it could still be, years down the road.
But they've committed, because usually with a big IP
Yeah.
like Metroid, they're not just gonna tease us and then it'll
Yeah,
disappear
yeah,
later down the road. What I'm
it's
curious
substantial enough. It'll
about
come.
is who's making it, because it's not Rare. Oh, sorry, Retro.
Yeah, I think they said that they've got an internal team doing it. It's
That's
actually
what
going to be a Nintendo internal
Yeah,
team.
that's what I understood.
enough.
Yeah, they rattled off some of their
So-
internal guys and that seem to be involved, so that it looks like it's
Yeah.
in-house.
So the plus side of that, I guess, is, or I guess one of the bad sides, I guess, is that it's a different team, so you really don't know what you're going to get because it's not the same one who's held this baby the whole time. But the good thing is, since it's Nintendo, they could pretty much do anything. They usually seem to come through when it's Nintendo doing the developing, and who knows, maybe they'll use the Breath of the Wild engine. That'd be fun.
Metroid Prime 4, other M2.
Yeah, it could be anything. I wonder if we'll have some sort of weird melee grapple in it, since that apparently is a thing now since Other M.
I am just disappointed it's going to be an FPS because I was kind of tired of that. And I really
Well-
wish it was more like a Breath of the Wild style third person,
Well, we don't know.
adventure type.
I mean,
They said
could go
Metroid
back
Prime.
to, yeah, they could go back to the other M style action.
They wouldn't call it
bits, right?
Prime. They wouldn't call it Prime. If it's
I
the
don't
Prime,
know.
they gave it the Prime name so that fans would know what to expect.
Now,
So
did they
fans would
specifically
be
say it was
expecting a
a
shooter.
first person shooter, or
No,
they
but
didn't
has
say
any
anything about it?
They said,
Metroid
"Here's a
Prime
logo we
not-
made yesterday."
Yeah, exactly. But has any Metroid Prime ever not been a first-person shooter? You know what I mean? Like, I don't. They wouldn't.
That's true. I mean,
wouldn't
they
have
did
Prime in the
Hunters.
title. Yeah, it
Yeah.
wouldn't have Prime in the title if it's not a first-person shooter.
You would think, but who knows? Maybe it just continues the storyline of Prime. But because I don't think people would complain if it really was kind of like an open world, even if it was like a 2.5 or third person.
But they wouldn't. There's the Prime series is a very specific series. I just,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I don't.
It has been.
I'm positive it can't be a shooter, or they would call it Metroid something else.
I thought it was
It
really
could end up
interesting.
being an online game.
I thought it was interesting
Ooh.
that the Prime was in there as well. I mean, to me, they've committed themselves to something when I think we all think it's just, they just threw that up there. Maybe there's more to it, is what I'm saying, I guess.
Oh, there's got to be. They wouldn't have a logo if it was just like they, decided, hey, we're going to make a Metroid sequel. Like they definitely have to have some pre-development going on. I mean, you know what I mean? They got something going on, or they wouldn't have dropped it.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like it was a very early thing, and I said this last time. I just think it was them saying, "Yeah, we understand what you want." Maybe they're trying to figure out what else they need to make. Maybe they're like, every time we ask somebody what should we make, they just say Metroid. So now that we're making this, what's next on the agenda?
They have to be in discussion for it. They know they need a shooter, right? That was the definitive Nintendo shooter for 2 generations of Nintendo consoles. And the Wii
It's gonna
U,
look gorgeous.
the Wii U didn't really have it. It is going to look gorgeous. The Wii U didn't really have it aside from the re-release. So like that should have been low hanging fruit for the Wii U is a HD remaster of the Metroid Prime games, or at least 3.
Well, we got the Virtual Console trilogy though.
Yeah, which is cool, and that was a neat release. But yeah, an HD Metroid Prime I will be happy enough with, but I wish it was something else.
We'll see. There's a lot of time for them to do whatever they want, but I don't know whose turn is it next. Will it be F-Zero's turn finally? Like, what other title? What's next in line with the most people screaming for it?
Mother 3.
Yeah, but based on what I've heard about Mother 3, the rumor was that Nintendo was ready to localize it and bring it over, but some things came up, and the fan community of all places, and people who talk about rumors publicly on Twitter and stuff kind of set that back. So I don't know what's going on with Mother 3. I kind of vaguely used to know, based on what I heard through the grapevine, that it was a thing at some point. Who knows if this rumor, or whoever told me, if that has any merit at all, but Nintendo was considering it, back during the days when they released or re-released Mother 1 and 2. Shortly after the second game release, they were like, yeah, they were ready to put the third one on Virtual Console, but it never happened.
Can someone explain these games to me, by the way? Because like I picked up the first one. I think I picked up the first and the second one because they were freebies during the the golden age of Club Nintendo. But like, is it just another RPG, or is there something unique about it?
This one's wacky.
Yeah, I don't.
The third one is worth playing if you can find the fan translation online and go with that. Like, it's just as good as any professional localization team's translation and whatnot. So what I liked about it was I didn't really care for the story necessarily. It didn't like change my life like it should have, or like it's changed everyone else's life. But they do this thing where they incorporate rhythm into the battle system. So you attack along with the rhythm of the music that's playing in the background, and if you manage to match up your attacks to the beats, you do more damage. And
was the original like that?
I don't know. I didn't play the first two games actually. I keep intending to do that, but
I don't think so. I've played a little bit of it, and there's nothing like that in it that I know of.
Yeah, it seems like the
Earthbound.
first couple. The first couple seem like Zelda-esque top-down, run around, talk to people, standard Nintendo-y RPG style stuff. So yeah, this one sounds like they added a rhythm component to it, which is cool, but
still nothing groundbreaking, right? Well, the story, people seem to like it. It was I don't know. Did you guys ever play Undertale?
No.
I did not.
It's a little bit like that if you ever get around to it. It's short. It's like 4 or 5 hours. I didn't like it at all. I'll be honest. I kind of hated it, but I feel like it's a good game that I would recommend because so many other people like it that you guys would probably find something that you'd enjoy from it. But
That's how I feel about Link to the Past.
I still have to play that.
I haven't played it either.
That was the classic of my day anyway. But yeah, it's I don't know.
That was what those young kids were playing when I was too old for that crap.
No, I was. It was fresh. It was right in my age range, and I played it, and I rented it a bunch and played it, and seemed to be enjoy it then. But I've never finished it or anything. But they could do anything. Maybe Earthbound could be next. I was just thinking it would have been really funny if they had trolled and put Mother and then the 4 for Metroid Prime, and then at the bottom underneath it says Brain, and then people could have went. That would have been like an interesting like wave going through the crowd.
Well, that's kind of what happened to me when one of the oh shoot, I forgot the name of it already. I want to just like block it from memory, but the car zoomed across the screen, and I was like, "Oh,
Rocket League."
Yeah, Rocket League. I'm like, you've got to be kidding!
They're just trolling you.
That. Yeah, that was specifically to troll me and nobody else. I should have seen it coming, but anyway.
They did. Yeah, I was gonna say they showed that right at the very beginning. I had a feeling that was one that was coming because I knew those guys wanted to work with Nintendo. I'll probably pick it up just because everybody seems to have such a good time. But yeah, at this point, I think Z was saying when you jump into the online, people have had such a head start now that I'll probably just get crushed.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be spending a lot more time with like local and friend multiplayer with you guys than I will playing against actual hardcore people online.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what price tag it comes out at with the Switch tax and all.
So, okay, on that note, Nintendo is obviously going for this competitive thing, right? This is a legitimate competitive gaming experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's probably my favorite quote. We were asked earlier about the memes from last year. It's like that'd be a good one from this year.
That's the only one that was meme quality, I think.
Or what about that? It's not Waggle play or something. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it's not Waggle control.
It's not Waggle.
It sounds like you're being accused of something.
Yeah, it's literally like the first thing he says about it. He's like,
It's
check
not
this
Waggle
out.
control.
It's not Waggle control. Like,
It could have been
wow.
only better if he had said, I know what you're thinking. It's not Waggle control. He's really selling it.
But right, so what other games do we think they're going to pick up? Like, what's another sweetheart on like a sweetheart indie multiplayer game like Rocket League? Rocket League's somebody has
Yeah,
to confirm that
they
for
are
us.
in an indie studio. Yes, that's all I know about them. They probably sold more copies of Rocket League than some major AAA or AAA publishers sold of whatever game they were making. So I don't know
Yeah.
if they're technically indie anymore.
You got to
Well,
find
true.
publishers too that aren't Sony or Microsoft exclusive. Because the thing is that it seems like kids seem to jump from game to game. Like, something's hot for a little while and then the next thing comes out. And it's like a lot of these games are so technologically advanced that to be relevant with what's modern, they probably don't have the hardware to do.
Who needs hardware if you've got Minecraft, right?
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, they do have that.
Blocks.
They could scaled
another-
down version of something on.
Well, that's what we're getting with Rocket League, right? We're not getting 1080p, and they say they're making other graphical compromises that are unspecified to get it to run
They're
on the
making it
Switch.
16-bit.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, right? But so that's what you're going to see is developers that are willing to put in the effort, and something like Rocket League. If it doesn't look beautiful, they don't care. It's and
Yeah.
that's always Nintendo's mindset, and that's why I think the two of them kind of got along. Is
Well, probably, yeah, one of the reasons that they're so successful is because, like Nintendo, the Rocket League is the mechanic is kind of the star, and the graphics are just kind of a supporting character. But it's the
Yeah.
gameplay mechanic that that it's about, which makes it ripe for their system.
Exactly. And so there's a bunch of other good little multiplayer games that are out there that I know that are big on like Steam and the other consoles. And they're going to be looking for those. They really seem to be targeting that multiplayer thing. Like, you can have a match with random people in a bar wherever you are with whatever game you're playing. That's the mind. You know what I mean? That's the marketing push. That's what they're trying to sell you on.
I wonder if
Don't
they'll
you
bring
th-
Overwatch over, or if that's not a consideration.
I think they talked about that, and they said that it would be interesting for them to do, but they didn't think that technologically that they wanted to kind of invest that time in what it would take to actually port it over,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't really need to.
Yeah, and they didn't really they didn't specifically say they didn't think it would work. It's just a lot of it was about the fact that it's, again, like Rocket League, though, already a mature environment, and there's probably just limited money that could be made, and plus then they have to support a whole nother console. So the cost to return benefit just probably didn't work out in their favor, or came out to be a wash.
I don't know if that still holds true or not, but wasn't it kind of a Splatoon competitor as well? Or was it just the timing of the release?
I think a lot of people gave it that comparison because it was a colorful, more friendly than your average shooter, right?
Right.
And I think they probably took a little inspiration from Splatoon, no doubt. And there were some comparisons, but I who played it? I had a hard time convincing myself to get on the Overwatch bandwagon. And by the time I really thought about it, it was already kind of too late. So
I didn't have a system for Overwatch, so I skipped out on it. But I mean, I don't know. Like I said, there's only so many games. I think, especially when you're that successful, there's not much of an incentive for you to spend time sinking resources into putting something out on a system where it's not going to sell nearly what it's already sold.
No, but if Blizzard were to produce another big multiplat, I would imagine Switch would be on their radar at that point.
Yeah.
Something new going forward.
World of Warcraft Switch.
Well, Square Enix was considering bringing Final Fantasy XIV over to the Switch at one point. I don't know if it's ever happening. It'd be nice, but not necessary. They probably don't think it's worth it either at this point.
Yeah, I mean it's got to be something that's going to sell. I mean, it's not everything's going to run great. Not everything's going to be able to be squeezed onto it, and just not everything is going to sell with the fan base. So it is what it is. As far as Blizzard goes, though, I would imagine if they're going to bring anything over, it's going to be Hearthstone first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's another thing and I kind of fear how like with the Wii U that they got really into letting any indie in the world onto their system. I have a feeling like at some point in the Switch's lifespan, if they can't keep up the hype and demand and sell numbers, it's going to end up getting ports of mobile games. Even if they're good ones, it'll be kind of a little bit of a bad taste.
I hope not. I mean, right now they seem to be really laser focused on some indie studio darlings, right? To the point that other indie studios are complaining that they won't give them the time of day, right? Oh, we're only interested in system sellers.
Right.
So at least for the time being, your fear seems to not be coming to pass, but you're absolutely right that down the road for a dry spell, hey, let's open the floodgates on all sorts of indie shovelware. Yeah.
I mean, if Nintendo could get a cut of individual daily transactions on like a Hearthstone, I mean, that'd be in it for them.
Yeah, I mean, has anyone ever browsed? Like, I used to browse the on sale section of the Wii U eShop. The 3DS was never quite so bad, but the 3DS had some obvious crap on it as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the Wii U eShop, there is some terrible, like 1 star, like that Plenty of Fishies. Yeah. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, luckily, just like kind of in the old days, the box art sort of gives it away.
It does.
Like whatever the icon is, you're just like, oh, that looks horrible, and it's only $1.
And it's only got 1 star. Yeah, no, it's
the letter.
I haven't seen a way to rate titles on the Switch yet. Has anybody figured that out?
I don't think there is. You can only rate the news.
Oh. Nice. Of course, you only rate the stuff you didn't pay for.
I'm actually a little surprised that the eShop looks so primitive. I mean, it's basically just like it's just shy of being like a document somebody made on their computer. Like here's a list of icons,
Yeah, I was expecting that was one of the first things I checked when I updated my Switch was, oh, hey, let's see what the eShop looks like. Nothing. It's the same.
Yeah. It looks like beta. It's like they didn't even get it to the level of the Wii U eShop, which is nothing really special. But at least there's like categories and stuff. Like it looks like they're trying to do something on sale or this is new or whatever. But I guess since everything's new and they don't have much, but I mean they could just get a folder to throw all those Neo Geo games into.
I remember when the Wii U launched, I think that the week it launched, it didn't really have any categories. And I think within a few weeks, like by Christmas time, it had a full spread of stuff. It didn't have Virtual Console yet, but it, what I mean? It at least had an interface that was manageable and you could search for stuff and whatever. And I think you can search for stuff on this one, but otherwise it's pretty terrible.
Recently, in the last software update before 3.0, they added something in the eShop where you can view all games. So it's like that was like even an achievement for them to be like, hey, now I can see everything, because before it was just whatever the most recent stuff was on the screen, and you couldn't go to like a page 2 or something, I don't think.
I was talking about adding friends from other places. When I was doing that, I was noticing, demos up on some of their recently played. I had to literally search the word demo in the eShop to find out what games have demos.
I actually got a news notification today on my Switch games with demos, and it has a little thing that you click on, and it takes you and shows you every game that has a demo. Which I think I've played all of them except for Just Dance 2017, which apparently has a demo if you're interested, Jay.
Oh, I'm gonna go download that later. Not really.
Get a use out of your Joy-Con.
That's right. I gotta make sure it still works.
So that is out. But I think there was they did a news thing, and it's like you click on it, and there's only like 5 or 6 things. There's Disgaea, the new Blaster Master Zero. But there's not a whole lot even that has demos. Like you'd think that they'd want to put some demos of their games. Even well, I guess they don't need a Zelda demo since they're selling more than 100%. But it's surprising that they didn't. But they've taken their time with that stuff too. Like it seems like it took forever for Pikmin 3 to get a demo on Wii U. Like,
Yeah.
it was out for many years.
It's kind of at the point of where anybody that wanted it was already done with it. And it's like, oh yeah, you can play a demo now.
Yeah. It is weird when they do that. You'd think, especially like if you've got an eShop and you've got demos, you'd think Nintendo should be at the forefront of wanting to give everybody a demo of its games if it really believed in the concept of demos.
I really think ARMS, with it being a new IP and everything, could really stand with a demo, even if it was just something really short or simple. Because
like a little single player. Here's the basics. This is how you move.
Right.
Just like something that's just like a punching bag or whatever.
Yeah.
That's true. Something just a real basic.
Just a training mode, so that even the training mode from the test punch, would work.
Yeah,
but like especially because that's a concept that some people might shy away from when they see the commercials and people are punching. They might say, "I'm not interested." So if you've got a Switch and you didn't do the test punch,
I know why they don't have a demo of it. Is because one of the things they're really hoping for with the marketing of the Switch is that people will go out in public and someone will see you sitting or standing somewhere with your Switch.
Shadow boxing.
Yeah, exactly. With your Switch propped up on the little plastic stand, swinging your arms around like an idiot and go, "Oh, hey, I want to try that."
Yeah, how can I look like him?
Yeah, how can I look like an idiot in public like that guy? I mean, and again, maybe taking it to bars, like I could see that. I could see getting drunk with your buddies and ending up, either throwing your Joy-Con through a mirror behind the bar and having to pay for it, or accidentally, swinging too wide, punching somebody and getting into a bar brawl.
And now you can buy neon yellow to draw even more attention to yourself.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And most bars have black lights in them somewhere, bars and clubs. That's probably why the neon. And that's a very good point. Just
maybe they could get a neon orange or a safety orange vest that says "I have a Switch."
No, but here's the thing: it'll only show up under black light. That's so you don't know. You just think you're buying a cool Nintendo T-shirt, and then as soon as you go into a club, it lights up. Hi, I'm a douchebag with a Switch.
That would be interesting. I did mention earlier this week off podcast that I do think it is interesting. I don't know what it means, but I just want to start a conspiracy that ARMS does not have Amiibo. And we debated and found out there have been other things like Paper Mario Color Splash that was a Nintendo title that didn't have an Amiibo. But pretty much everything gets an Amiibo these days, and it seems like ARMS would have been like ripe for it. To unlock some little outfit or maybe a different glove or something. But it's weird that they didn't have any kind of Amiibo. So I'm like, if they really believe in this thing, wouldn't there be an Amiibo?
Didn't Splatoon get Amiibo like way after the game was released, or am I misremembering?
No, I got them at launch. I remember buying them. I think.
Oh, you know what? I don't think they updated. If I remember correctly, they didn't add the update to actually use them until a month or two after Splatoon came out. Am I correct in thinking that, or am I crazy? I'm pretty sure that
remember the timing.
Amiibo functionality got added shortly after. It wasn't immediate. I thought. I might be crazy.
I don't know, because they had the outfits and stuff. I think those might have been there from the beginning.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I remember
you just couldn't get them anywhere.
But we know that they made them, and we know Splatoon 2's got some on the way. So Breath of the Wild had them. Splatoon 2 has them. So really, the only major Nintendo Switch release so far to not have it has been ARMS, which they're touting as a AAA title.
I'll also throw out Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. They had them too, but that
You could
was
say
a
that.
carryover from Wii U.
Although that is interesting because they really could do a little Mario on a cart and just glue him to an amiibo base and be like, here's something else we can sell. Works with the Wii U version. In your face.
And if you notice too, in the update, we got a handful of new icons for Splatoon 2, but we didn't get
Yes, we
anything
did.
from ARMS. As far as I know, there's not any from ARMS there.
That's true. They're waiting to see how it's received, probably, which I am too. I'm kind of interested to see because there is the whole, it's a video game desert. There's not much else out there. Like, I've even been like, well, there really isn't anything. Maybe I should get ARMS, but I'm just not really genuinely interested in it.
To me, it's the reason I play it is because of the controls. Because even if I'm sitting, I'm getting more physical activity than if I'm totally motionless, just moving my thumbs, right?
Yeah, well, you're the kind of guy that loves those gimmicks. Like, you're into the Nintendo stuff like a lot more than probably us. Like, I like them too, but like you're like, ooh, this is neat. I can stand up and do this.
You know why? Because video games have been the same. I've been playing them for 30 years. There's like 5 genres. They never change. That, you know what I mean? I need something new. I need something different. I need variety.
Yeah.
And this provides it. And as an old man, it, makes me at least feel like I'm getting, a little more physical activity than I otherwise would. Whether that amounts to anything or not, I have no idea, but at least makes me feel like it is.
And that's what they want. Although, even though they're kind of off their health kick now, I'm surprised they haven't even thrown that in. Like, they haven't said, hey, look how much exercise you'll get with ARMS.
That's true. They haven't said anything, have they?
No, I think they've given up on that. Like I said, I think that was Iwata era thinking, and now they're just like, never mind this health stuff. Goodbye, sleep sensor. How much time do you have in ARMS, Z?
Under 5 hours.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, the system won't.
Right.
The system won't tell you until the game's like 10 days old. Is that how it works? Something like that.
It seems like maybe since the update, it's sooner. And you installed the parental controls. I did too. I think I put in like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
That's right.
I don't know.
I deleted that app.
Oh, did you?
But that was the best feature of it, is that you could actually see how much playtime you had legitimately, because it'd be like, your child's been playing this for this long.
Yeah, and it still was kind of weird. And like, the thing is, it's so lame is like, as somebody who does IT and deals with database stuff, all the data is there. They're capturing all the data, but the way they're presenting it is the most convoluted, confusing way possible. And there's no simple way to just sort, like, you know what I mean? Sort by most played or whatever. Like, it's all this weird daily log crap and monthly log crap. You know what I mean? So it's a little maddening.
But it's something that it's such a basic feature for everything that I can't believe that they didn't throw something like the play activity onto the Switch. Just something. Give us something.
I remember
Go ahead.
I was going to say on the 3DS, I remember, you had like that one launch title that you bought. But after that, I believe they already had the play log on there, because that's something you did when you were like, I want to use this thing, but there's nothing to play. You would like go through and look at all these little extra options.
Yeah. Even just looking to see, like, oh my God, I've spent how long playing Animal Crossing?
That was, yeah, exactly. I would every so often I would go in there just like, yeah, to pretty much as a masochistic gesture, just to cause myself frustration and anguish and go, oh my God, how much of my life have I wasted on this?
Or the other fun game to play with the activity is, how many games have I played since the last time I opened the play activity on my 3DS?
Exactly.
Because it adds all those icons, and you're like, really? I haven't opened this since that? And then also it's fun to see like, wow, I've only played this game for 3 minutes. That's the other fun one.
Well, the other thing that was sad is when things like the eShop or like there was no way to clear it or reset it that I could tell, at least for any system stuff. So if I left the system tray open or the system settings open or whatever, all of a sudden, hey, I've spent 24 hours playing system settings.
Yeah. Yeah, I was always interested to see like how much time, like especially if you look at like your StreetPass, like how much time you've spent doing StreetPass. You're like,
I'm
really? I've spent
embarrassed.
that much time? Yeah.
Yeah, that was like my number behind a couple Pokemon games, man. I spent way too much time in Street Pass.
It's fun to have those little things, and it is kind of weird that between the 3DS and the Wii U, you can't even get the same data. Like there's not like a standardization to how they do like the kind of activity log and stuff like that, or not the activity log, but the
Or just
like the
how about the online notifications? How about Wii U and 3DS friend lists just being merged? Like, let me see my 3DS friends online status and my Wii U friends online status. It's like,
well,
right?
maybe they don't want, maybe you don't want them. Maybe you're like, oh, they're good enough to be on my 3DS, but I'm not letting that dude on my Wii U.
Well, sure, then you don't let them. But I mean, it should be like you should be able to add your friend code or whatever for both, right?
Yeah.
For example, I'm getting online. Hey, where are the Splatoon kids? Let's play some Splatoon. Where is everybody? But everybody's actually over playing Animal Crossing, right? So I don't know that unless I bust open the 3DS. Otherwise, I just figure everyone's out for the night.
Yeah. By the way, I've got 1,686 hours in Animal Crossing New Leaf.
Jeez, I just have 646 hours.
How are
I
you
want to
people
think I'm up
kidding me?
2100.
Yeah, that is my 828.
That's because you guys leave it open overnight, though, right?
No,
Please tell me that.
sadly, I do
Not
not.
always.
I never
Sometimes on
have.
holidays. I did on some holidays, but honestly, most of that is actual playtime.
You guys are obsessive to a whole nother level than I am. And I thought, I mean, I put a hell of a lot of time into Zelda, but otherwise, you guys beat me hands down.
Oh, okay, I've also got 600 in Sub Wars. So how about that, Z?
That is insane. I think I have in the ballpark of 250 to 300.
Yeah, so it's a little scary to me that it says the times played for Animal Crossing, which is over 2,000, is number 3 on my thing. So then you got to figure out that's when the analytics get a little weird, because it's going to be something silly that's number 1. Like
Street Pass.
I'll have launched Street Pass or notifications or something, you know. But it's nice to have those things. That's another thing. Like Nintendo would always kind of, even these last systems, they launch with some kind of little extras. Like this is just so sparse. If you didn't own any games, your screen for the Switch would be like 6 icons and just blank, you know, the time and your battery life.
If you bought a Wii U basic version, you got nothing, right? There's really no game.
The basic, like as far as just holding it, like the storing it.
Huh? No. I mean, if you bought, okay, Wii U Pro version came with Nintendo Land, of course, but you really didn't get a thing with the Wii U basic version. You got no game.
You've got the ultra rare white Wii U system.
Yeah, that in hindsight, that's what you got. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think historically. Wii U came, or pardon me, the Wii came with all sorts of little. No, the Wii U came with the video chat, right?
Yeah,
the Wii
TV
U came with
thing,
which was stupid, but you're right. It came with stuff. The 3DS came with stuff. The Wii came with stuff. GameCube came with dick, I think, right?
Yeah. But they weren't expected to either.
We got Monkey Ball with the release of the GameCube.
Was it
right?
Anyway.
But it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't loaded in though. Yeah, he's talking about.
I'm talking about pack-ins. No, don't get me wrong. I am a huge fan of the OG Monkey Balls, and they've just with each successive Monkey Ball, they've gotten worse, unfortunately.
Monkey Ball to me was like, hey, Sega's still a company. Like I hadn't heard of Sega for so long, and then I was like, hey, this is made by Sega. I remember them.
No, man, Super Monkey Ball 2 was like the greatest party game on the GameCube ever.
I had Monkey
until
Ball.
GoldenEye.
I would love. I was thinking of like weird E3 things, like weird predictions that they're not even really predictions because they'd never happen. But how amazing would it be if they somehow got the license and did Rogue Squadron 2, like as an HD remix for Switch? Like that would be amazing.
I wouldn't even
I'm-
mind a new entry in the series, based it off of one of the newer
Yeah.
movies.
Pie in the
But
sky,
now,
I think.
yeah, I think now EA's got that. I don't know if they've
They're
got
gonna
the
lock
entire
that.
franchise. If anything Star Wars has to be through them, but I don't know because they don't own Lego, right? And Lego can do Star Wars games.
That's all such a big, complicated web.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a
how all
big
that
mess,
licensing
but
works now.
but don't kill my dreams. But yeah, they could.
And I
That's
mixed up my
the
console
interesting
career.
niche they have. That's the niche they have, is that they can just remake something like that and put a new coat of paint on it, and that can be an achievement for them.
Yeah, they've really got to lure third parties back, and they're starting to. It seems like. Does everyone kind of feel that way? Does it look like we're getting third parties back? At least we're getting
It's
more
hard to
lip
say.
service than we did last gen.
Yeah, but at the launch of Wii U, they were touting all these companies that they had, and there were games that launched. You get the feeling that with this one, they didn't tell anybody that this system was coming, because it was just, it was so rushed that even third parties couldn't launch with it,
Well, but there are a lot of little things that have trickled out relatively quickly. Like NBA Playgrounds is a good little, NBA Jam
Yeah.
style, arcadey basketball game. It's been popular. It's done well. A lot, several people I know that have Switches have downloaded it.
But
And
that's not a AAA title though either.
no. And of course it's not. But I mean, enough stuff like that though. People won't miss the AAAs too much.
Yeah, it's just I feel like nobody had time to prepare, whereas on Wii U there were stuff. It's like I feel like somebody called Konami in like November and was like, "Hey, how fast could you throw something together?
6 months." Yeah, maybe you're right.
How fast can you whip up a new Bomberman game? And they're like, "Oh, we could probably do that in like 2 or 3 months if we made it real crappy." And they were like, "Do it." No, it's okay.
Well, they hit their launch window, but then they patched the crap out of that game.
Yeah, they did.
In the
They did.
months.
And that's okay. Like I said, a Bomberman game doesn't really have to blow your mind. It's a Bomberman game. It's there to do what it's there to do, which is play multiplayer with your friends and blow each other up and cuss at each other.
Let me ask this question. This sort of came up recently in a conversation I was having, where I said I wish there was more to play on the Switch, and the person quickly posted up this list of all the third-party developers that are apparently working on games that Nintendo posted way back when. With the Switch currently being unavailable to so many people, how long will it be until the third-party people started to say there's not enough install base here, or how long before they move on?
It all
End of the
depends
year,
on.
I think.
Yeah, it all depends on how long Nintendo can keep the buzz going, and you know what I mean. Like at some point, the audience is going to sour, but right now they're in the frenzy mode. So if Nintendo can keep the frenzy mode going into Christmas season, I think they'll be over the hump.
Sounds good.
What's everyone think of those? I know we've talked about them, but the most probably interesting things to come out of E3 on the Switch front were those Nyko accessories, right?
Yeah, they were neat. There's some stuff like I had posted in one of our chat rooms the other day the picture of the metal Nyko kickstand. I'm like, they're willing to just come up with a solution for everything, which I still wonder how great that's really going to be.
It holds SD cards, though, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Can you really see yourself having 3 or needing to have 3 SD cards? That's a little ambitious for the Switch. Well, right now, especially.
Well, yeah, and I think we lost in Vega already, but he said he's going download only for whatever reason.
For my Nintendo points.
Yeah, because he wants the My Nintendo points, the valuable
that
My
are going to
Nintendo points.
expire in a year. Well, here's the pyramid scheme of it. It's like you buy the My Nintendo points to get a 30% discount on a game that gives you more gold My Nintendo points that you have to get rid of.
Yeah, no, and you can
It's a
never,
vicious circle.
yeah, you can never get out from under the pile of My Nintendo points that are burning a hole in your pocket that you have nothing to spend. Or
I keep thinking that they're going to notice that, like, hey, this percentage of our install base for My Nintendo has over like 4,000 points sitting in their bank right now. Let's release something that we can suck 3,000 points out and give them like an old DS game or something.
They need a point sink. I've literally had thousands of points expire at this point. Like, come on, guys.
Well, have you been getting your calendars and such?
There's
I mean,
calendars?
your JPEG of a calendar.
Yeah, I didn't realize they were JPEGs of calendars. I just thought they were JPEGs of like Yoshi and sexy poses.
Well, they've got there was a month of May, I think, or maybe it's June, that they've got a Legend of Zelda, or well, it's actually just Link on his motorcycle from Mario Kart 8. And then I think they did a Street Fighter calendar page. So they can sell you one of these every month, and they will.
So basically what they're free for My Nintendo coins, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
I saw them on Twitter,
Actual
like
money.
people pass them around.
Oh, well, that's the thing is once you download it, I'm pretty sure it's just a JPEG, man. Like, yeah, you can just copy it
Wouldn't
around.
it be awesome if they embedded metadata and they could just brick your Switch? How dare you share this valuable JPEG?
Yeah, I back to the Nyko accessories, that phone thing, man.
Yeah. Well, there is the travel dock. That's pretty awesome.
Okay.
Or whatever, their little mini dock. That's their big one, right? I mean, that's the
but
one
I want to get.
that you want to get to the phone holder.
I want to get to the monstrosity.
The voice chat-o-matic, an elegant solution.
The only thing cool about that, well, I mean, it's cool, except it's stupid. It's right.
Let me give you another example though, because you could also, because it fits on a Pro controller, doesn't it?
No, it fits
or is
on. It's a Joy-Con grip.
Okay, so it's just for the Joy-Con then.
Yeah,
so,
it's a replacement for your Joy-Con grip. So, right, the center part slides out, and you can put your cartridges in it.
Okay.
And then it's got that goofy mount for your phone up top.
Okay.
And when I first saw it, I was like, what the hell? Somebody's putting out a clone of the NVIDIA Shield.
Let me tell you a little something about the future, my friend. Now, they've already talked about how Joy-Con are Bluetooth and like you can link them to stuff like computers.
Yeah.
You could just pirate a bunch of video games on your phone and then use the Joy-Con to play those pirated virtual console games.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's the only value I see in that unit.
It's the Switch Virtual Console coming early.
Yeah, that's the only, like, I don't see anybody buying that for a legitimate Switch use. I see them buying it to hack the Joy-Cons so that they can connect them to their phone and then downloading an emulator and loading up a bunch of ROMs. That's what I see them doing with that.
But we would never condone that.
Of course we would.
Don't do that if you can hear this. That would
But
be
I
too
just
easy.
mean when your third-party hardware vendor, who's very, very creative, comes up with this very creative solution, which is really a workaround to a horrible, glaring problem that you have presented for your third-party developers. I mean, you know what I mean? This is what you get.
I've always kind of thought of Nyko as like kind of the knockoff Hori. Like I always thought of them as like a quality step down.
I agree.
But I mean, but they are doing interesting things. These are some of the more interesting accessories I've seen for the Switch so far.
They're extremely creative. Hopefully the quality holds up. But yeah, they're definitely the most interesting console accessories period I've seen in a while. Right? I mean, we've had all sorts of weird little grips and cases and what have you for controllers and handhelds for years, but these are some genuinely unique things.
Yeah, some of the weird like battery pack stuff that they've got that you can add extra battery life. They do some interesting things. It'll be those come out like September maybe.
I haven't seen a release date.
I did watch a YouTube video the other day on somebody who kind of just gave his basic thoughts on what he thought of everything. This guy actually has he's been obsessed with finding the perfect controller accessory for the Joy-Con. So he buys every little gadget that they have out there to put the Joy-Con in sideways so that it makes it a large controller. I really am starting to hate those little slidable rails, just because I feel like anytime there's a potential for a 2-player action, I have to pack those with me.
You mean the
Absolutely
straps?
correct.
Those
Yep.
those little the little button rails, yeah, or whatever, the straps.
Because
I
if you're
guess
going
the
to play
Joy-Con
slipper
strap.
clips or anything with the shoulder buttons, you really
Yeah.
have to have them. Yeah.
I guess I
So,
should get mine out of the box.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
if you're ever holding that thing sideways, you basically have to have those clipped on. I mean, it still feels kind of awkward and small, but you can get along with it. Like if somebody hands it to you, you're like, okay, I guess if this is the only option.
Well, no, for me, I can play it with those, right? Because I've had the thing for a while and I messed around with it, and I'm perfectly comfortable playing without the little Joy-Con strap. But anyone
Yeah.
else I hand it to, I'm going to expect is going to have issues with those buttons.
Yeah, you're gonna say, oh, there's buttons in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're just little tabs. I mean, it's like a button on your phone to turn your volume up and down, which
Yeah.
is another thing they added in that update.
Oh, really?
You can now control the volume of the headphone output volume of your Switch from the quick menu.
Great.
So you don't have to use the buttons if you don't want to, since they're so awkwardly positioned right on top of the console where you could reach them.
What's our next
I
topic?
haven't played
Jay?
with that feature.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've definitely missing some information here, and we've got stuff coming out until September, October. How long do you think it's going to be before another direct is coming up?
2 months. It's the usual
Yeah,
time
It'll
table.
be
I think
before Mario.
there has to be a Splatoon 2 direct, I'm sure. A
That's what I'm
Squid
thinking.
Research thing. Maybe even another. We might even get another test fire. It seems like they should.
I haven't deleted my test fire download because I was kind of suspecting they might do another one. I kind of am not really expecting another direct for that. It's only it's a month away now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that far off, and I don't know that there's terribly much more to show, right? They've already
Doesn't
shown
every game get a direct now? Like any major game? I guess they didn't do one for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Yeah, I don't know. Anything that they showed a hell of a lot of at E3, I'm going to kind of assume doesn't necessarily need its own direct.
You think it's covered?
I think there will be a general direct before Odyssey comes out, but I don't think there will necessarily be an Odyssey specific direct.
Yeah. It seems like they do them pretty much it seems like it's about 4 a year or so now. They've really cut back, but they just do them. And then some of them are like that Pokemon direct was, what was it? 8 minutes, 10 minutes. So I mean,
12 minutes.
they can get stuff out really quick now if they really want to, and just say, hey, here's a little bit of information. That's all we had to say. Thanks for coming out.
It's true.
So we'll see. I don't know. They've probably bought themselves time. I don't expect to hear about the online system anymore until January, because it seems like they said 18, so they're just like, well, now we don't have to talk about it. But they've got to do some sort of little holiday thing. It's interesting that they haven't really ever addressed the stock issues, as far as there's been rumors about chips and the shortages and things like that, but they haven't really said anything like, hey, just to give you some confidence, there's more Switches on the way, or anything like that.
I've seen reports on the back end that they are still expanding production. So we'll see. I don't know how that fits into them bumping their heads up against Apple for the same processors.
It seems really weird that maybe that's another sign of how rushed it was, is they didn't even really secure the proper production means before they started producing.
But no, because none of those reports about bumping into Apple started coming up until kind of after everyone decided the Switch was a hit, right? Because
Yeah.
it wasn't until they released their month end numbers for March, right? What was the month? Was that what it was? It was, and they announced that they had sold, in excess of 1.8 million in the first 3 weeks or something stupid. Like they did
Yeah.
really well during their initial launch, and there were reports that they were flying them in at a lot higher expense. They were flying
Right.
in shipments. So I do think we'll see, by Christmas time, I think we'll see a legitimate, a legitimate stock. But who knows? I mean, if Nintendo plays its cards right, they may still be hard to get.
I really hope it was all just an elaborate scheme. They're like, we're just going to have shortages of everything for years. And then when our next system comes out that Christmas, we're just dropping $1 billion in the
That'll be
stores.
one.
And every scalper will have 20 of them.
I do genuinely believe that is their overall strategy. Just whether whether they will actually pull it off at the end is the big question.
It would be good. Nintendo saves Christmas.
I keep thinking back to Amiibo when they first came out, and I think everybody thought Christmas time is coming, gets closer to Christmas, restock, and it never happened.
Yeah, I remember.
But
That
how
was
perfect
wave
was that?
1 and 2. Yeah.
Amiibo wouldn't be what it became if it wasn't for the shortages. It had it was shortages because nobody was buying them because they were just like, I'll just get the ones that I like. And then everything is sold out and you're like, now I must have them all.
Exactly.
It's that frenzy, that collector's frenzy.
Nintendo's mastered it, whether they intended to or not.
That's true. It's like there was some news article I read that had a title that was something to the effect of Nintendo doesn't want your money, it wants your soul.
I read that article.
They're like, Nintendo's not interested in getting money from you. They just want you to want to have their products.
They want to be the company you think about more than any other company, even if you can't buy their products.
Right. They want you to be aware their products are out there, even if they don't have them for sale. That was kind of awkward, I thought, too, with E3, was that they were it up like everything was great when they know they've got issues that they didn't address at all.
Of course, that's the Nintendo way.
Right, that's the point of it. But traditionally, you would think they would have announced something before E3 just to get that out of the way, so that question wouldn't be hanging in the air. Does anybody know what's going on over there? Are you gonna really have it online? Are you ever gonna make more Switches?
Yeah, at first I was kind of expecting to hear a little more about their theme parks and crap, but I guess that's not really E3 material.
It's hard to say. It could have been. I mean, they're starting to trickle a little bit more information, but also with it being Japan only for right now, like that's the first one that's going to come before it gets stateside. There's not really much reason for them to probably talk about it at E3.
That would have been a cool, instead of Reggie's big monologue, if they had Miyamoto or somebody at the opening ceremony, and standing there is like, here we are in Universal Studios. That'd have been something.
That video is out there. They did was it the ribbon cutting or something like that, where they're breaking ground on it, and they had Miyamoto, which was he at E3? I feel like I didn't see him at all.
He was, yes, because he participated in Ubisoft's Rabbids and Mario
that's right.
thing.
You're right.
So he wasn't there for any of Nintendo's showings, as far as I know. If he was on the actual floor there, but he did show up during Ubisoft's conference. I remember that specifically, but just not any other time, I guess, besides that.
Yeah, they played him pretty low key. I mean, I know he's kind of backing off now from the company, I think, preparing his retirement still, which he might not even still be here if it hadn't been for the way things had went. I think he wants to. It's like how those big sports stars want to go out on a championship. I think maybe he's waiting to have one more big hit before he bows out.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be that they wanted him to be on board through the Switch launch, and now that it's launched and it's there, maybe it's a good time for him to just kind of go off quietly.
Yeah, because he's been talking for a while. I mean, I guess we'll still get Pikmin 4 eventually, which I'm guessing that's probably, if anything, the thing he's most involved with right now.
Yeah, I'm sure they're taking their time releasing it because they wanted to port it to Switch. Because 2 years ago it was still the Wii U, right?
Yeah, and he had said that that they were he was talking like they were close to the end of production on it, like it was about done. But like you said, it would be really awesome if they have a bunch of games that they've been working on for a long time that they're just kind of logging and saying we can throw these out here at any time. That's kind of how I feel like Smash is. Like I don't know that we will get an announcement this year for Smash because I think that's one that they can pull out of their back pocket at any time they need, to phone a friend.
Mm-hmm.
That is still a very fair point. I'm still speculating they're gonna try to really hammer this Christmas, and so they're gonna get it out after Odyssey. But your point is also very valid that they may also very much do that.
This is a legitimate competitive point I just made.
Is it now?
Yeah. Well, it's true. I mean, they could do that, but they could even be saying we can release it if we want. I mean, what if they had a factory making them right now, and they said, "Here's the thing: if we get enough stock to sell out Switches at Christmas, we'll put this game out. If we can't get the Switches in the hands, then there's no need." Because they might do that too. They might be waiting until there's Switches on the shelves that haven't sold, and then say, "Okay, well now we'll drop this as a little." Something to reinvigorate the Nintendo Switch economy.
But look how long we waited for the Switch. I mean, we knew about the NX, and then it was forever before they released the Switch. And look how unpolished it is coming out. That thing should have been perfect. It should have everything on it.
I disagree. They did kind of. Remember, they announced they were working on something really just to get the shareholders, from cutting their throats.
Yeah, just like they released the Switch as a rush job, I think when Iwata mentioned the NX, it was like a stop-loss kind of thing where he was just saying, "Hey, folks, there's a new system coming out, so don't worry about what's happening with the Wii U because we're moving on to brighter, better things." I think it was like the Metroid 4 in development. They were just saying, "Hey, there's something else on the way, so just hang in there."
Yeah, and that's the thing is I think for a long time we were just waiting on the promise that something new was coming. And the maddening thing was that the time distance between when they announced, "Hey, we've got something new," and then told us one tiny shred of information on it whatsoever was huge, right? It was a very, very long time before they finally announced, "Hey, this is what it is," and then that was 3 months before it came out, or whatever, right?
Well, you remember seeing the articles of people like, "Hey, we're wanting to develop for this NX system, and we can't get a dev kit."
Yeah.
I mean, that was a thing.
Yeah, that was a thing less than a year ago. That was a thing like late last summer. People were talking about that.
That's an indication that it's possible even these big major studios, they were probably in the similar boat where they didn't have, there was probably a handful that Nintendo was working with directly that got dev kits, but these games still might, even if third party really is going in hard and heavy, they've got to have development time too, so that we might not even start seeing that stuff until next summer or next fall.
Yeah, and you're right. Anything that's coming out, like all the stuff that's coming out at the end of the summer, all the AAA third-party titles that are finally starting to come out at that point, they probably got the dev kit about the time they announced, about a year ago.
Yeah.
Right? That was what Nintendo said. Hey, it takes about a year to do this.
I'm guessing EA and 2K were probably among the first to actually get dev kits.
We'll never know, but I would assume.
just getting their stuff out now. Because I mean, fall is when everything's hitting. That's when Elder Scrolls is hitting. You know, it's like anything that wasn't made by Nintendo, and then I guess Konami had that one,
Hey,
and
by the way,
Ubisoft Just Dance.
always Just Dance. Elder Scrolls. What version are we getting, by the way? Everyone seemed to be talking about the fact that you can unlock Zelda crap in it, but I never
Right.
actually heard. Are we getting like the latest and greatest, or are we just getting some generic crap version?
I think we're getting the Nintendo version. I think it's probably going to be the very basic one, but they don't say it's the basic one. They say it's Elder Scrolls with Amiibo support.
Yeah, that was seemed to be what I was getting, was they glossed over all of that to show off the Amiibo support, and don't ask any questions of the man behind the curtain about what version, whether this is the expanded, remastered, whatever.
It didn't show up a whole lot at E3 either, did it?
Not really, other than the buzz about all I saw was the Amiibo business, and that was about it.
Yeah. But they haven't talked a whole bunch about it, so maybe there's more info coming. But I would guess it's basic. Although, if you remember when that Batman game, I don't know if that was launch title for Wii U, but when they did Batman Arkham, like that was like kind of a Game of the Year type edition that had all the DLC or extra stuff.
That was a legitimate, the armored edition or whatever, and I mean. Right, that when that came out, the Wii U was just at the tail end of the previous generation, so it got all those multiplats on launch, and they were good. They were well done.
But that goes to show, Mass Effect was there. So I mean, it goes to show that they can do it if they really want to. They've done it before.
But again, Nintendo, they got on the Nintendo bandwagon. They put on all this development time and money, and none of those launch titles probably made their money back, right?
Yeah, I would imagine so, or very few of them, like Ninja Gaiden and stuff like that.
So they got burned, and most of those games I picked up for $8 on Amazon.
Yeah, they really tried though.
Yeah,
tank. It's I mean, they had some stuff. I guess that's probably the best we could hope for. But I think the little things that they are doing now, it is redeeming to them that they're doing some cross-plat stuff, and they're trying to get some of these bigger titles. So it's nice that they at least show that they're trying. Things are definitely better than they've ever been as far as modernization of Nintendo.
And I will say it's kind of surprising that they're on the cross-play bandwagon with Microsoft and Sony is not. I don't know, right? Nintendo always likes to do their own thing, but I get the console war between Sony and Microsoft, so I can kind of understand it, but it's still surprising to me.
Well, when you're playing Minecraft, you're going to have, Microsoft has said that it's their servers that are hosting the game, so you're going to have a Microsoft login that you have to make. You have to sign into a Microsoft login to have this cross-play because you're on their servers, and maybe Sony is in some archaic way afraid that you're going to sign up for some sort of Microsoft account on your PS4 and then say, I'm just going to buy an Xbox.
Yeah, I have a feeling there is some weird thing with that.
Like Nintendo doesn't have that ego. They're just going to say, hey, look who we get to play with.
And it may come down to arguing over who gets what money for what, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, you got to remember Nintendo and Sony have had like some bad times together in the past with the PlayStation.
The PlayStation exists because Sony wanted to screw Nintendo. That's like the entire PlayStation the entire line owes its existence to Sony saying fuck you to Nintendo.
But Nintendo did that to Sony first because Nintendo was trying to develop that with Sony. So Sony was the one who got burned at that point.
Sony got burned, and Sony came back, and I don't know. We'd have to have been in the boardrooms to see who deserved it more at that point. But I'm again less inclined to like Sony because Nintendo makes games, right? And that's
what Reggie says.
Well, no, but seriously, right? Nintendo is a game company and has been since the 1800s. Sony makes TVs.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
Sony owns
true.
a movie. Sony is like a movie publisher studio. Sony, right? Microsoft is like the titan of the PC industry. These are not
Yeah.
gaming companies at their core. They're big
No.
conglomerates that happen to have a gaming wing, right? So that's
But
why I tend to give
arguably, that's what
Nintendo
they're
the
known
benefit of the
for.
doubt.
I mean, arguably, like Microsoft, that's one of their big things that they got going. Probably is the gaming, and same with Sony. And Nintendo has traditionally not always played nice with others, you know, from chip shortages back in the NES game days and control over everything. So they're still kind of learning how to play with others, probably. And I could see, I don't know, like I said, Sony seems like they've had problems in the past working with other companies, so maybe they just don't want any part of it with the Minecraft thing.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if if the PlayStation sucks and everyone stops buying it, Sony just closes that division, right? Same thing with Microsoft, which is probably
That's
going to
true.
happen. So it's
Yeah, this
probably
is
going to
all
happen.
Nintendo really has. Yeah,
Like,
is
yeah,
their systems.
like that's why people always say, "Oh, they should go third party. They should go third party." They're never gonna. They're never gonna. I mean, unless like the entire landscape of the video game consoles changes, they're never gonna
Yeah.
go. They're never gonna just be a third party developer.
Well, that's
It's all,
they can as long as they can hold you hostage behind the hardware to get to the software, people are going to still buy their systems, and that's what they kind of count on. They're making the systems. That's their business. They don't have a backup, so yeah, I think
but
that's what they've got.
I don't feel like I'm being held hostage behind the hardware, right? I mean, there is legitimate waggle control issues historically and those kinds of things, but I mean, again,
Well, I'm just saying they're holding the games hostage. If you want to play a Nintendo game, you have to buy a Nintendo system. It's just that simple.
I understand that, but what I mean is, I would feel like the games were held hostage to the system if I had to buy a generic black box with Nintendo on it. But
What is the Switch?
To me, the Switch is the Joy-Cons and the fact that it's portable and all the other weird crap that Nyko's making for it and everything else. You know what I mean? That's to me what makes it. That's to me, yeah, it is. It's Nintendo's shtick, but that's to me what makes it not. Like, that's what makes me want it. That's why I bought it on day one, even though there were no games for it. Right?
Yeah.
It's because it was a cool, goofy piece of hardware. And if it were just, you know, an Xbox PlayStation clone with a Nintendo logo on it, I wouldn't care. You know?
You don't think so? If Nintendo released something called the box, and it literally was just a black box that said Nintendo that wasn't a GameCube,
that played Zelda and Mario
Odyssey
and whatever, I would still buy it, but
because then we could praise they've finally done it.
I wouldn't have. Well, okay, sure. If Nintendo were to, you know, do what all the gamer fanboys have said and produce like something comparable to the Scorpio, and here you go. Here's the Nintendo Super Box. Okay, sure, I'll buy that box. But
yeah,
like you know, again,
if Nintendo made a system with a normal, quote unquote, normal controller, like the Pro controller, and that was just the controller for the system.
I would be less interested.
What if they kept the gyro control?
It wouldn't be Nintendo anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that is kind of their thing.
Well said, Jay. But no, but you make a good point, Mo. If it were just the Pro controller with motion controls,
you're all in again.
I might still be on board with that because that, like, to me, Splatoon, like that. Console shooters have always sucked. 2-stick shooters, no way. As soon as the Wiimote came into the picture, it's like, wait a minute, console shooters are kind of cool again. Now, with the motion controls for Splatoon, it's like, to me, they've nailed it. Like, that's how you do console shooters, period, as far as I'm concerned.
Which, to bring us all full circle back to Metroid, they could do Metroid Prime with motion controlled aiming and stuff. You know, we still don't know if they're going to do twin sticks, you know, or how they're planning on doing it, because that's how it was on GameCube. You know, it started as a twin stick kind of thing. So they could do that, or they could just put motion control.
If they're smart, they'll make every option available.
Yeah,
I'm
so far they
certain.
have with everything.
Yeah, and they've been in general pretty good about it. So I'm sure they'll have a Splatoon style mode with the Pro controller, and that will be no doubt what I end up using.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll have a Wiimote style
Waggle control.
like the Wii. Yeah, I'm sure they'll have the Wii style Waggle control.
I just hope we don't get to the point with like
control.
I hope we don't get to like the other M point where it's going to be like if you hold your Joy-Con sideways, you're in first person mode, and if you hold it straight up, you're in third person mode.
That would be a nightmare.
If you remember other M, I think it was if you pointed the Wiimote at the screen, you were in first person mode, and then if you pointed it sideways, you were back to the other style. But they could do anything, but I think that would be nice. I really liked it for like even just like the bow control in Breath of the Wild. I liked being able to aim the bow with the motion control or do the kind of fine tuning stuff, which would work for, if they do that on Prime. I think that would be kind of cool to be able to kind of fine tune with that. I'm still not sure how I feel about having full 360 arm action on the new 3DS Metroid. Like I kind of like being locked to a diagonal.
You know what? I'm excited. Pardon me. I was excited about it until I realized you're gonna have to be doing that with that stupid little nub, right?
No, I think, I don't know. I think maybe I think they had mentioned that when you're trying to like lock on to an enemy, like you can do something that will kind of put you in like a free aim mode.
You hold a button or whatever. There's some
like
kind of
so that
toggle.
so that your body doesn't move while you're aiming.
Oh, okay. So you probably pull the trigger or something. Okay, good. Because going back to the new 3DS, that to me was just such a missed opportunity. That little nub, man. Like actually having a second stick on the Switch now. Like at first I was okay with the nub. Now it's just like, are you kidding me, man? I can't believe they did that.
Yeah, I haven't converted still yet to the new. Although, if they had only made that Metroid new Nintendo only, boy, I probably would have bought one.
It might be. I bet you the 3D will only be on new. I would imagine.
We'll see.
Seems like all the new games, all the new AAA games that are coming out, they tax the hardware too much.
You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say that they do a mini direct for Metroid when it comes out because, one, it's a big title for them. Two, they always seem to do that on something that's sold out everywhere. So they're going to want to advertise the amiibo that you can't get, and they'll advertise the special edition that you can't get because that's also sold out everywhere, which it's not that special since it just has a CD with it, I think.
Reggie can tell us how we show a lot of fan passion for things like this.
That's true. I mean, they sold a lot of special edition Zeldas.
Sure did.
So we'll see how that goes. I'm looking forward to playing it, but it's one of those, again, since it is a Nintendo product, I'm cautiously optimistic. But the company kind of scares me. I'm not a huge fan of the whole like melee thing that they've added. Maybe it'll be cool. I just hope it's not super talking about
we don't know
with
what the hell you
Metroid.
About, man.
Yeah, with the Metroid melee attack, it looked like from the gameplay that they showed at the treehouse, it looked like almost every single enemy would just rush at you, and you had to use a melee to deflect them. And I don't know if I like that being the entire game. Every enemy you have to use that melee thing on.
It did seem like, yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to think of that. It looks like kind of a core change. Like original Metroid, because I played the more than any other Metroid game, I played the first one, and I played it to death. And it just had, just like old Mario, it had that smooth, good, fluid play control. All of those side-scroller early Nintendo games, like the jumps were all kind of similar, right? The way the jumps worked and the way you could control yourself in the air and whatever. Like
kind of gravity.
Yeah, they all had a similar. Yeah, like the physics were all real similar on all of them. There were tweaks here and there, but I don't know, when you start to overcomplicate it, it's like Pokken Tournament. Like, to me, there's a certain level where it just becomes inaccessible when it's too complicated right off the bat. Like Pokken Tournament, like you had to sit through a tutorial, like to even be able to play the game effectively. They made you go through this 10-minute tutorial of how to play. And
looking at the controller that they made for that, well,
yeah,
doesn't look super complicated. Didn't it only have like 2 buttons on it?
no, but a lot. No. The only thing it was missing, I think, was sticks, right?
Okay.
And I think it put a couple of the trigger buttons on the face, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think there were any other major changes to it, but it just like, some of the buttons were toggles. You switched different modes at different times in the fight. It just, and again, I don't know, maybe I'm old, but it was complete. It wasn't an accessible Nintendo style game. You know what I mean? That's why I also don't think like they made the big announcement about it. And it's like, people who are interested in Pokemon and people who are interested in fighting games are going to go, hey, I'm excited. But your average player is going to look at this and go, wow, this looks weird and complicated. And like, I went through this 10 or 15-minute tutorial to play it. And then by the time I was done, I was like, I think I got to go back through that again.
Well, the one speck of hope is you would think that what they're showing at E3 is probably going to be very early stages, like at the very beginning of the game, because they don't want to give away too much. So perhaps that's why it seems like every enemy is rushing, is because they're trying to teach you that mechanic for the later levels.
I hope so. I mean, I like the fact that they showed you all this stuff in Zelda, and then if you wanted, you just never had to use it.
Yeah. Well, that's a great way to make games, and I think that, even the people who are doing the big AAA titles on Xbox and PlayStation look at Breath of the Wild and say, well, that's still a really nice achievement, and that they did a lot of things right on that game.
Yeah, but there's I don't know, that game, as much as I loved it and it was a beautiful game, it still displays how much catching up Nintendo has to do to everybody else, I think. Just with the sparseness of it, right?
Yeah, but it's still, though, it seems like the more you play that game, the smaller the world gets. And I don't know if it's just because of
that's any
the
open
save
world game.
points. Yeah, it seems like you're like, you know what, I could just hoof it over here if I wanted to. It's not that far.
Well, and like, how often do you ride a horse? Like, did you ever really find much value in riding a horse?
I never did, because if they can't go everywhere and fly, then I don't need them, because I felt like I'm just having to chase down my horse all the time.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is there's too many places the horses can't go. There's too many easier ways to get around by teleporting to towers and whatever. It's like, yeah, the horse mechanic really seemed like that was something they came up with early on and then didn't realize as they continued to develop the game that they'd made it pretty much irrelevant.
Their terrain was too diverse. It'd be awesome if they had added a mechanic where, like, you could get the bear and then climb up mountains because they could climb better or something.
Oh, yeah, that would have been neat.
But you know what? Just like we've talked about in the past, how you could ask somebody how to kill a guardian, and you might have 5 different opinions between 5 different people. There's probably people who are like, man, I never walked in that game. I just rode a horse everywhere. Who do that? Like, just naturally.
I mean, I see enough YouTubers, and they're showing screen. I see, their map, and I see a little horse icon on the map. So they've got a horse out there.
Yeah. So I think it's just, everybody plays their own way. It was okay. It's just, for me, I'm more of a just climb up as high as I can and jump off way of travel.
That was really the best way to travel.
Yeah. If you don't have the icons. Yeah.
If they had made a Pegasus, now that would have been a game changer.
Yeah, why didn't the Lord of the Mountain have wings?
Yeah, if they were to drop a flying mount, though, it would kind of break the game a little bit. Right. Yeah. The climbing is a big component of it. That was one thing I know about WoW, World of Warcraft. They've released like 6 expansions for that now, but they dropped flying mounts in the second expansion, and they kind of blew their wad. Like, you know what I mean? It was kind of like where do you go from there when you give players the ability to literally go anywhere they could possibly want in 360-degree space in the world? You know, there's really not anything better you can give players at that point.
Yeah. Except for maybe some DLC for unbreakable weapons.
Please. God. Makes me not want to play because I'm constantly going after new weapons.
They'd have to rework the game too much to change that mechanic. I mean, what do you do with all the weapons that you pick up then? Nothing. You can't sell them to vendors.
Yeah.
Record
I
them.
mean, you could,
Like
I think.
costumes.
I told you, right? I did Ganon. What did I do Ganon with? I think it was all Lysel tri-boomerangs.
It was the wrench in the library.
There's a wrench in the library?
No, that was a clue joke.
Oh, nice. No, but I did all. I just had a bunch of Lysel because I was farming the red Lizalfos tails, so I just had the tri-boomerangs. So yeah, I just for the hell of it now, I I'm not playing anymore, but I got to that point where I would just do random stupid crap like that. But yeah, I did Ganon with all boomerangs. It was fun.
I went over to my mom's house this I guess it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, and she's got like the huge screen. I don't even know what size it is. It's probably like a 65-inch 1080p. So I hooked up the Switch and I just did the Ganon fight, and I was like deflecting shots for the first time. Like I don't really shield parry ever, and I'm like doing shield parries, and like I took him down really quick. I'm like, man, because I never really learned to fight in that game, and the whole time it took me to play and beat it, it's like I never jumped out of the way or did anything gracefully. I just kind of beat down everything in my path and just kind of barbarianed it.
I did the same thing. It was a long time before I looked into any of the finer details. Probably about the time I decided I needed some Lionel parts or something.
Yeah, it wasn't until my second playthrough.
Even then, I just
kind of did it right
Fury.
away. It was just a carryover from, I guess, Monster Hunter, Dark Souls, and stuff like that. It's already ingrained.
I think the people who have played games with you know that you tend to play games the right way. Like,
well, I don't know about that because it took me about 12 hours in Nier to realize you could upgrade any of your stuff. Yeah, so I mean, I guess for Nintendo consoles, certain Japanese games I can figure out pretty quickly because they all follow similar, mechanics, similar menu systems and stuff. But like, but in Breath of the Wild, they teach you some of those parries and stuff early on, right?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and I just ignored it.
And then you forget them after 50 plus hours of gameplay, and you haven't used them yet.
Yeah.
I guess.
You're
I'm
more
just like, but
concerned
I could just run in
that.
circles.
True.
I could make them chase me and throw bombs at them.
Oh yeah, a friend of mine recently completed the game with like no swords, no shields, and no bows. So he beat the game using only bombs, basically.
Did he bomb Ganon?
Yeah, I'm gonna because Ganon. There's one like part of the Ganon boss fight. Like you have to have a shield. I don't know. You can't attack him until you do the shield parry.
You can use Urbosa's Fury or Daruk's Protection.
Oh, I suppose that's true.
I guess you probably could do that. It would just take a long time and be a real pain in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of how some gamers are. It's like I admire those people, but it's just like I don't know how someone can be like, I'm going to spend this much time doing this just to show that I can. I guess that's kind of what like speedrunning and stuff like that's all about.
Speedrunning's fun though.
Can't make enough money off of YouTube or Twitch to make that lifestyle worth it.
No, you got to do it for the love of the game, but to do these 100%, all the Korok seeds and everything, and this is the fastest anyone's ever gotten every single Korok seed. Like, that stuff's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the fan passion for that.
Nor do I.
But I'll buy a special edition. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I have the fan passion to put out the money, but you know, the older I get, I have less, you know,
Fan passion.
less inclined to put
Well,
out the time.
Yeah, it's I'll play a game, I'll beat the game, and then I'll put the game on the shelf for the most part. But it's always cool to watch those people, and that's a good, interesting thing about video games is that somebody's always doing something new with something, no matter how old it is. You know, people are still trying to break Super Mario 1 records and things like that.
Hey, you know,
No
I mean,
one's
people still watch, you know, Wizard of Oz. It's still a legitimate, fun kids movie that like everybody
Yeah,
grows up with, right? So I mean,
but they don't
it's
watch it standing on their head or watch it and fast forward and say, "I just watched The Wizard of Oz in the fastest possible time,
that is
No,
true, I suppose. I just mean,
blindfolded."
I'm just referring to people, you know, going back to old games.
Yeah, yeah,
There are legitimate classics in the gaming industry that like everybody who considers themselves at all a fan of video games feels like they have to play before they die, right? Original Super Mario
yeah.
Brothers or whatever it may
Yeah,
be.
there's definitely a must-have list of stuff, and that is cool that it keeps people engaged. I think people will play them differently than we did because it felt like we were kind of trapped and we just had a few games, and since that's all you had access to and that's all there was, you would just play that same game over and over and over, and now people don't have the time for that.
Of course not. It's a novelty. No one will spend the kind of time like the warp zones are known, right? Like when we were kids, that was what we talked about at recess was I saw this
Yeah.
guy found a warp zone to level 5 from, you know, wherever.
Yeah.
Like that was the center of our world for a while.
Yeah, the bogus internet rumors that would get shot down in less than an hour now could go on and proliferate for months and months.
Oh yeah. Kids would tell you something
Yeah.
to say,
Oh, there's
hey,
a secret wall here.
whatever. Or
Yeah.
no, my favorite was Metroid, right? Because Metroid, if you beat it at a certain time, she took off her helmet, and then if you beat it at a certain faster time, she was in like a bikini or whatever. So of course, rumors persisted that if you beat it fast enough, she was naked, right?
Yeah.
And we all believed that crap for years, right? Because that was 5th grade back
Wow.
then, the good old days.
That's true. And I didn't even know about Bubble Bath Babes back then, the NES Classic game. That was a
Are you
third
kidding?
party. No, there's a third party. There's a bunch of like for people that collect NES, there is a couple of NES like unauthorized nudie titles that sell for quite a bit of money because it was probably something you could only get out of the back of a magazine or something.
That is amazing.
Look it up, kids. Ask your parents.
There's got to be ROMs of those, right?
I'm sure they're out there, but something tells me they're not a compelling gameplay experience.
Well, I'm gonna dig through my ROM archive and see if what's it called, Bubble Bath Babes.
There you go. Get it out there. Yeah, so that's probably not going to be coming to the Virtual Console anytime soon.
It's coming to my Virtual Console.
Yeah, Nintendo's still doing pretty good to keep everything fairly family friendly, which I guess does work for them. It is nice that there is a system for the most part that you can say, I know this is pretty much safe for my kid, and the rating system can take care of the rest.
That is true. It's got all the parental control settings you could possibly want. But even that being said, aside from preventing your kid from spending money, I don't see where the hazards are. I don't know. Maybe something like Binding of Isaac might be disturbing for a 5-year-old, I suppose.
It could be, but at a certain point, I think Nintendo cares more than the average parent does these days because, you know, people are buying their kids GTA and stuff like that. That's the thing is if the kid wants it, the kid's going to get it for the most part, I think, with most parents.
Yeah, I noticed I was over at my mom's house yesterday, and her next door neighbor, who's this very prim and proper, they don't even have television, right? Because that's a bad influence on the kids. But I look over and there's a PS4 with a copy of GTA 5 sitting on top of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, kids have access to that, so that might be a little bit of Nintendo's archaic thinking in action there. But it is nice that I know there's people who do want that, so I guess they do have that family-friendly thing.
Well, I can, in the case of any of us who may or may not have a child that may or may not be old enough to hand this over to down the road, right? Here you go. Here's
Yeah.
Mario Kart and Zelda and all sorts of stuff that you can waste endless hours on, and I'm not going to be at all concerned that you're going to, ask me awkward questions about it.
Since they took out that offensive Squid Girl animation.
Yeah. Although, you could accidentally kill your own horse in Zelda. I did that a few times.
That's
That
true.
might be
There's a lot of
frustrating to a
different
child.
There's a lot of different ways to kill just about everything in Zelda. I mean, you just go through and club a deer in the head. It's kind of the GTA of the Switch right now.
Well, it was. Is anybody still playing it? Nobody on my friend list is.
Zelda, no.
I've got one friend who's playing it right now, and he's got 350 hours into it. So he's
Wow.
obviously probably done with it. I don't know if he must be going for Koroks. That's the only thing I can think of. I haven't asked him.
He's just turning it on and letting it run. Just for
That could
for
be it too.
background.
He's trying to bend and warp his Switch.
Yeah, I mean, the wife would turn on the 3DS eShop. She'd leave it on at night when she slept because she liked the music from the 3DS eShop. Sure,
Wow.
there are some people. I'm sure there are some people they'll just put the Breath of the Wild screensaver on whenever. It's just like a window out to a fake world with low polygons.
That reminds me. Wasn't there some 3DS game? Was it Smash? Has the functionality of you can have your headphones connected to 3DS and in sleep mode listen to music?
Yeah,
I feel like that didn't take off.
I used it a few times, but
If only the eShop had that feature.
The 3DS had a built-in music player. It just sucked.
Yeah. Well, that's one of my fun things that I've edited my StreetPass icons to what games get StreetPass and which don't. I keep the StreetPass music there because I'm trying to see if it's ever possible to actually get a full song. Because I have StreetPassed people like a billion times, and it says that I have like segments of songs, but I still haven't gotten a complete song yet.
That is so weird. I never knew how the StreetPass worked.
Yeah.
I thought it just
So
sent you a playlist. I thought that was all
now,
that.
if you have an MP3 on your card, you can choose which MP3 to share. Supposedly, every time you StreetPass with somebody, you'll get a little segment of their song, and eventually, after you do it enough times, you'll have that song on your 3DS. I think.
So you have to StreetPass somebody the same person a hell of a lot of times, or a bunch of people that have the same exact MP3 copy of the song.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it works. I guess for those of us with two 3DSs, we could really test it if we cared enough. But
That's
true.
I remember
Let's just
reading
give
about
up.
that, but I've never experienced it. And there was one guy that I pretty much street passed solely for a long time before all the the Nintendo zones opened.
Yeah.
You guys remember
the same song? Yeah. Sorry.
Relays were a thing.
Yeah. Did you guys remember StreetPass on the DS?
I didn't have a DS, so I have to sit this one out. But I know Nintendogs had a feature, I think.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was per game. Metroid Prime Hunters had it also, but then your DS would stay alive maybe a day in sleep mode, as I remember. And the original ones were huge, so it wasn't easy to carry around in your pocket. It was just a terrible, terrible idea. I never passed a single person. I tried.
Pretty sure I did too a few times.
And the other person that had the 3DS would have had to have Metroid Prime Hunters also logged into like the StreetPass mode and slept. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was very, very specific. You had to go set it to this special mode and then sleep your machine and then carry it around.
It's for friends and relatives.
Yeah. It was, yeah, really, there was, yeah.
I think a
Lame.
3DS XL is about the size that I will allow in my pocket. Like, I can't see myself going much bigger than that.
If you take the Joy-Cons off the Switch, going back to the conversation about the stupid rails, more often than not now when I carry the Switch around, I have the tablet part in one pocket and the Joy-Cons in another with the rails on.
You're
It
looking
just
for action.
not that way. Oh yeah. My pants are
Checking
full,
out groceries. Yeah.
and I got something to pull out and hand to you.
That sounds dirty.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, I mean, you should see if Nintendo will make you a real ambassador. Be like, I'll just walk around places and engage people in games.
Why would they pay me to do that when they figure their loyal, rabid, passionate fan base will do that for them for free?
I would watch a YouTube channel of somebody doing that, especially if it was usually just walking around and saying, "Hey, you want to play Mario Kart or something?"
Well, thank you, I think, but I don't know if I could do that, man. Just walk up to random strangers. Hey, you want to play some Mario Kart?
You could make a Switch commercial for YouTube where you just show somebody playing in a park with the game, and then somebody comes up and punches them and takes the Switch. Like, you could do like a Nintendo Switch commercial, how it would really happen, where everyone gets their Switch stolen in public.
Yeah, if I had a decent camera setup or whatever, I would get all the guys together in a bar and we would set up some sort of, weird skit where we all get into some horrible brawl over Mario Kart.
And shoot it in 3D.
Send it to Nintendo.
Yeah. I don't think that's family friendly enough for them. What else did we have this week? What else happened this week? What do we need to talk about?
Not the only other thing that happened of interest was there was a couple of demos on the eShop released this week. Metopia and Ever Oasis.
Which, yeah, I played a little bit of Metopia. It reminded me a lot of the other game that I didn't play, Tomodachi Life, I guess. And Metoma, it seemed to me like it was an expanded StreetPass game. Really.
That felt to me as well.
Which, by the way, how about the guts on those guys to put out a whole bunch more StreetPass games right as they're basically winding down StreetPass and relay points are going away. I never did buy that second round.
Did they put out more StreetPass games?
No, I just meant the last time that they did, when they put up their stock market game and the slot car game.
Yeah, but those
I never bought those. But I would have bought them,
and they knew it.
Yeah, that's sad. I feel like it's going away. I can't. Oh, you know what else? Here's some big news. We got a new StreetPass puzzle. It's been like 10 months since the last StreetPass puzzle.
With no pink pieces, because they knew nobody's doing that anymore.
Nobody's passing anybody anymore. Yeah. But it was still something. That makes me wonder, like, will we have a Metroid one coming again soon? But yeah, so Ever Oasis, I have. It's another one that I don't really have any interest in, but I know there's a lot of people out there that do, like T for sure, I think.
Yeah, I was interested in the location. I like deserts mostly, but
yeah,
the demo didn't blow me away. It feels like a level 5 game, and their stuff tends to not have much depth. So there's a lot to do, but it's all very superficial. Just go collect things. You've got that town building sim, I guess, in there too. But it looks fun. It's like Disney Magical World, just something fun to do in your free time, like Animal Crossing is. So I'll pick it up. Maybe not right away, but eventually.
Did you spend any significant time with either of those, Jason?
I actually did. Ever Oasis, I was kind of hoping for a substitute for Fantasy Life 2, I guess. And I don't know. I just couldn't get into it. It's just a bit too simple. I don't know. And of course, I played through all of the Utopia demo, and the more I played it, the more boring it seemed.
That's funny you mentioned that because I tried to get into Fantasy Life like twice, and I played maybe 10 minutes of it, and I was like, this is the dumbest thing ever. And the thing is, I try to give level 5 games, like I've played all of the guild ones. Like I've bought and played them all, and they're like terrible games, to be honest with you guys. The only one I really enjoyed was a Weapon Shop Del Mase, just because it's more of a visual novel. There's like no actual gameplay elements to it. So like I can see how Ever Oasis is a little bit like that too. Just very shallow. Dragon Quest VIII was another game they made. So was Ni no Kuni and the Yokai Watch games. That was it. And that's why I haven't picked them up, because they just seem really boring. Like I see that level 5 makes something and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to play that. So Ever Oasis is kind of the thing that I'm excited about. Was that they Grezzo made that one StreetPass flower shop game, right? The one where you could grow your flowers or whatever, set up a garden and whatnot. So there wasn't a whole lot of depth to that, but I was looking forward to seeing what they would do on their own. But overall, like, the demo didn't impress me either, to be completely honest, but I'll give it a chance. I don't know. And Tomodachi Life got old after about a week or so, so I'm kind of expecting the same thing from Miitopia. But I enjoyed the Street Pass games enough. Like, they're fun little pick up and play things, or pick up and play games, like, you know, if you're standing in line or whatever at PAX. So, you know, it is what it is, and I know what to expect going in, but I haven't picked up the demo because I'm actually afraid that it'll spoil some of the surprises that the game has. Just like the that one direct kind of showed you a lot of what Tomodachi Life, like the uniqueness of that game, essentially. You know, it kind of gave it all
Virtual
away.
Boy.
Right.
Yeah. So you're gonna pick that one up when it does come out then?
Yeah, I will.
That'll be. I think it's headed for the bargain bin with Happy Home Designer and Tomodachi Life, but it's
Yeah, it
something
probably
easy for them
is.
to make.
But
Well, I guess
it is what it is, right? I mean, it's the 3DS is near its end at this point. I mean, I guess it's got some games coming out in 2018.
yeah.
It's got
We'll see.
Metroid in the fall, but overall, like, I don't know. I'm not expecting too much from it from this point forward.
Yeah, I think as the 3DS wraps up, so must we.
I agree. So I guess we have covered E3, and it is now time to move on to new topics next week. But thanks everybody for tuning in and giving us a listen. And we'll catch you next week, I suppose.
Yeah, this will probably be my last podcast with you guys. So, you know, may the anger be with you going forward.
Aww.
I'll try to join whenever I can, when I figure out my schedule.
Yeah, whenever real life doesn't get in the way, come and see us.
Yep, we'll miss having you on for sure.
But it's been fun, and we'll keep in touch, I guess. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
All right.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Have a good night, everyone.